We're here at the third round watching Hybrid versus AMP. This will be an interesting game. Both teams have had a little bit of pressure from their first round opponents, but have managed to walk away with wins. So this will be something really interesting to see what they've taken away. Both teams had some goals that they talked to us about that they're wanting to execute, including some new defensive strategies. You'll be excited.
Ooh. Something I'm really excited for with both of these programs is that both teams looked to send the disc deep. And so I think we're going to have a really exciting game with lots of hucks and potentially also a fair number of turnovers with these high-risk plays, because both of these defenses are like, the athleticism of these players is so strong. They're going to be able to, they trust them to be able to get those blocks back. So I think we have an excellent game in store for us today.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will say that's actually potentially been a struggle or a point of improvement for Hybrid, is their defense is known for being able to put points on the board, but they need some more execution from their offense. From AMP, I had a chance to check in with coaches earlier today. They are actually missing some players here for this tournament. We're missing a couple players, Del Rico, Bova, Holinsky, at the U.S. Open, and so still haven't shown their full roster, but are really looking to play the full depth of their roster. They want to try as many different people in different roles and just really flex that as a strength as they're preparing for the end of the season.
So we are pulling up the pool play results on your screen right now. So we can see Dragon Thrust 2-0, Exist 1-0, BFG 1-0, Polar Bears 0-2, Love Tractor 0-2 in Pool B. But focusing on Pool A, which is what this game is from, we have Hybrid starting as 2-0. AMP only 1-0, but that is because they had a first round bye. So this is only the second game of the day for AMP, but it is the third versus Hybrid. So that will absolutely be an advantage that AMP has going into this game. Noise 1-1, and you can see the rest of Pool A. We are getting underway here. AMP pulling to Hybrid to start us off.
And we won't spend a lot of time talking about it, but they are on turf. We are also under heat advisory. Things are really heating up. Wind is a little bit of a factor, but look to see if fatigue, even though we're still early tournament, starts to make a play in the second half of this game. So Hybrid with the disc, being really patient so far, and I'm already enjoying the hard person pressure of this AMP defense.
Nice huck out to space for the receiver to run onto. Using their deep game, but in smart ways. That's a great start for this Hybrid offense.
Yeah. Interesting that I like that they have some male matching players. They've got pulled behind the disc, leaving a lot of room for female matching players in the end zone. Expect to see from Hybrid a lot of action from Theo Sapinski. He's currently with the disc and has been getting a lot of touches so far this season.
Really tight pressure defense from AMP, making Hybrid have to take a lot of throws and a lot of high pressure stall count throws. Hybrid doing a great job maintaining possession.
Love that shot from Currency. So lady on lady here for Hybrid for a hold.
Yeah, that's great work by Garancher there. You know, it's interesting that in the previous game, we are getting a replay here.
Garancher, I like the fake out to the side, a little bit of touch, nice angle into space. And that was Katrina McGuire. McGuire highlighted as one of the athletes to watch this game, someone who can be a playmaker and who we should expect to see quite a bit of action from in this game.
Yeah, and as we think about the story of this game, Hybrid's defense was really running the show in their previous round game against Slow White. And so we're thinking about Hybrid's D looking so good. But when I was talking to the Hybrid coach before the game, he was actually naming that the D line has been struggling to convert. That like so far this season, their D line wasn't able to get like more than 1 or 2 breaks in a row. And they have been so used to running their D line. And that started to switch for that slow white game, but it's been their O-line that has been so strong for hybrid throughout the game. And so what we were seeing in the second round game from hybrid feels like it was different than what they've felt as a team over the course of the season so far.
Interesting. So reversal.
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see sort of like what version of hybrid we're seeing in this game against AMP.
Ooh, an extremely short pull. I think you are seeing some of the impact of wind, that we are seeing it pick up from the first couple of rounds. Another player who'll be interesting to watch, you've got number 42 out there, Nathan Champeau, but picking up for AMP, Paul Owens. And he has been doing a lot of work with Daniel Walsh. Walsh also highlighted as one of the rocks for AMP this year. Just steady, consistent, someone who's keeping a lot of possession for the offensive line.
We can see AMP running their vertical stack.
It's a grindy little cut in there. Owens finding the small spaces. Henry Ng getting his hands on the disc for the first time this game. That's an impact player.
Able to distribute both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, good patience from Dodge there, waiting for it to come back. Good timing. But hybrid with the disc, Dalton Smith connects out to Kaznicki.
This is that opportunity for that D-line to show that they are able to convert after they get the opportunity with the disc. That what we affectionately call the Doffense, the D-line's offense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if edge throws hold as we're seeing some of this higher wind. So Dalton Smith again can be a good distributor, but also known for taking some shots. Also interesting is a lefty. Love seeing more lefties in the game.
Nice run through block there.
And there is a hybrid player who is deep, and I think they were trying to get the disc to her, but instead, sorry, there's an AMP player deep. Hybrid getting a hand on the disc, and Dalton Smith will pick up again.
That was Lindsay McKenna with the block. McKenna, also another impact player on both sides of the disc, who's really taken a bigger role for AMP this season. But again, what we're seeing here is these teams that are both willing to shoot it. And we get, Champeau shooting it again, and we get an AMP block.
Yeah, this is getting pretty messy.
Danielle Walsh with the disc.
And that goes high, and yet another turn. I like pressure defense. I like gritty defense. I don't like sloppy throws. Okay. So Champeau looking inside.
But, this is exactly what hybrid wants, right? In order to even out the fact that hybrid has played an extra game, it absolutely makes a difference that, what a bid. There's a question of whether or not that disc, whether Champeau was able to keep that disc up or down.
Looks like they will be communicating with the observer here.
Okay, don't move, don't move, don't move. Okay, check it down. Touch the ground, touch the ground. 10 seconds.
You're seeing hearing the mic from the observer there. Disc was ruled down, so it becomes an AMP possession.
And the big wind up looking for Henry Ng in the deep space. Interesting, I wonder if they'll call contact there.
You can see Champeau and Ng having a conversation about that call.
Yeah. It actually tipped off the fingers of Ng, but it never looked like he left his feet. Nathan Champeau definitely got in the inside lane defensively.
I feel like I was just running, and then you jumped and fell on me. I definitely thought it was as I was going up. I felt like I was running this way, and you were trailing back to catch up and ran into me as I was going up, and it tipped the grid.
All right, do you want me to rule, or do you want to make your ruling? All right, observer ruling is no foul. So we're going to start with a check here. Observer ruling is no foul. Once y'all
Okay, so no foul decision, which means the disc will be picked up by Hybrid. So this is now the 8th turn of this point.
Let's go, first point. Or second point.
Second point.
Second
First
point.
offensive point for.
But what I was showing earlier before the play happened, this is exactly what Hybrid wants, right? Early in a game, you want to tire out Amp's offensive line.
Yes.
Their starting offensive line, like those are the players that you want out there, particularly because Amp has played one fewer game as compared to Hybrid at this point.
Yeah, and so an interesting play there. Champeau looking deep, definitely had a player, and I'm pretty sure Henry Ing got his hand on the disc. So disc goes back to Amp yet again.
This Ing-Champeau matchup is really fun.
Yeah. Olinsky had the disc. I'd like to see him more active. But they've got Owens with the disc. They're in the red zone. Walsh just really taking ownership of this offensive line. They are chiseling away and wide open. Okay, Owens. Owens sneaks away.
I think that goal really happened because of McKenna there. Like hopefully we'll see it on the replay, but you can see McKenna throwing the shoulder fake to lose her defender to then be able to win that upline space to then be able to throw that assist.
Yeah, let's get a look at it again. So you can see Owens, Walsh.
Oh, you don't see the move on the replay.
Yeah. Interesting too that that's a backhand. Watch her just kind of flip it in. Nice and soft. Okay. The second view, yeah, it's still off screen.
But what she does is she runs around her player to take that lane. And so by the end, she has a ton of space for it. And she has, because her defender is so far behind her, she has the ability to throw the quick backhand, right? Like when you catch the disc, you're already in that backhand grip. So to get it off quickly, you can just dish it instead of having to switch your grip to throw that forehand.
Ooh, well, the point is over.
And
Amp 1, Hybrid 1.
Ultimately, it was a hold. Hooray!
Does it feel like we've already played a half of Ultimate?
Maybe not quite a half, but definitely the first quarter of the game.
Here you go. And here's where you see the inflows, both of us coming from kind of earlier this year backgrounds of watching timed Ultimate, where there were 4 quarters of timed. Woo, love that pull from Raha. Lots of height on the pull. And defense getting down. So one of the things I'm going to wait to see, I was told by the AMP coaching staff that they are working on their force middle defense. Charlie, get excited.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And so this is something that has been around for a while, but we haven't seen as much of. Yeah, so watch Raha, pretty flat. Okay, and Theo Shapinski being really patient. One of the ways you beat this is you've got to go around the outside. So if you're Hybrid, you have to recognize the soft spaces and hit them quickly. You can't get stagnant.
It looks like this is a little bit like kind of straight up in the middle and then airing more toward one side.
And for those who haven't seen or played or been, had to play against force middle, one of the big things is you want to force the throws to the middle of the field and the cutters to the outside of the field. Really focusing towards defense. And a turn there. So Amp with a chance to break. Shot goes up. Spencer Whitner putting it to space. They're just shy of the line. Sam Grosberg's got it. A little bit of a scramble there. Oh, he was looking to set a dump to Whitmer, but instead Hybrid snags it.
Reese McDevitt there with the block.
And the wind up, a big shot will go. 2 defenders in the area. He's got the height if he can make the play. James Hill not able to make it.
Whitmer able to come down with that block, taking that inside lane, even though the intended receiver had, good 6 inches on him.
I do think that was viable. I won't say it was a, huck and D play. What it does get is it gets them the full length of the field that now Amp has to go up again. But if you're Hybrid, Amp taking another shot and again completed. Love how Grosberg is finding those spaces. And he'll look beautiful touch there. He's got Malave. A lot of communication through fakes here from this Amp team. Raham goes over to Raham at Safari. Around again to Grosberg. And just behind Raha, that's really tough. So Hybrid will get another shot at it.
The question is, will they shoot it immediately, or are they going to try and work it down the field? Oh, there it
Connection
goes.
there. Hill puts it up. He does put a lot of touch on it.
That was a really beautiful throw.
Yeah, Maddie Simcoe is a good target too. All right. So Simcoe will dish, and it is a Hybrid hold. Ooh.
Amp showing that they are able to put the defensive pressure on after we had that clean hold from Hybrid for their first offensive point. You know, we had a second point with Amp starting on O that was with many possessions. This one not quite as many as the second point, but still Amp is responding and showing that they can put the pressure on just like Hybrid was.
Yeah. And I'll say it'll be interesting to see some of these turns. I think definitely execution. I do think the wind is an active variable here. But it is going to be interesting. We're seeing some athletic plays, some really interesting matchups. Which team will adjust to the heat, adjust to the wind, and really dial in their execution? Because we're pretty turn heavy so far, just here 3 points in.
Yeah, clearly demonstrating that this can be anyone's game so far. It's like we said early on, there's a lot of opportunity when both teams are playing such an aggressive style of offense, trusting that their players are going to be able to get it back after they are looking deep consistently.
So question, was that the second score for McGuire? I feel like I should know this, but the second point was really long. Did McGuire score the first point?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure she did. And yeah. I'll be really interested because out of 3 points, I'm pretty sure she has 2 goals and has made a defensive play. That's a hot game so far. All right, so Amp here with the disc. But already looking pretty disconnected. There are a lot of Amp players. Like, we've got a really nice wide angle going on here. A lot of Amp players completely off the screen still.
And again, both teams are running a vertical stack, theoretically.
I'll give you the theoretically, yeah?
I mean, Amp has consistently been running a vertical stack so far this season.
Let's do a shot. Oh, okay.
Trusting to come down with it.
I mean, that's a trust throw I'd take.
I mean, Ing has put himself in contention for, a player of the year. Like, he's certainly in the conversation. Certainly, whether or not it's overall player of the year in the mixed division or offensive player of the year, his play, both sides of the disc, has really shown what a huge contributor he is.
I did like the help defense from Hybrid. You got to get the 2 bodies there. Also, really interesting butterfly cut of just turning the shoulder, making eye contact, showing that he's interested and wants that shot deep, and that it came from shallow.
Interesting that you name specifically the butterfly cut. In talking with the Hybrid coach before, he was like, yeah, we know that Amp likes their butterfly cut. And so, and we feel good about our matchups. We're anticipating that they like to hug deep to their butterfly cuts, so we're going to get our D in position to look for that and stop that.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge fan of that. So the under doesn't work, or you're in that shallow stack space, and you move to the break side and then attack the deep from there, and it really sets the thrower up for much better execution when you're coming at it from that shallow space.
Well, and you have an angle at it too.
Absolutely.
And that makes it easier to read and easier to...
It still was a little over his head, but he's a big dude. He made a good read.
Well, and that was McKenna with a throw there. And McKenna has been, was known for being a block getter and a receiver, and is becoming more of a thrower. And so we can see some of that growth area as she's putting those shots up.
Pretty good deep pull from Owens. I will say, by comparison, this is really making me enjoy the pulls we saw earlier in our Hybrid brute game. Big shot goes up. Theo Shapinski is in the area. There is a defender. Oh, and I thought he made the read. But Owens able to put the pressure on. I don't know if he got a hand on it, but he was definitely in the right space. So far, the defenders on both sides are really consistently getting the inside lane on these deep shots. Interesting. Okay. So shot hangs up. Love that McKenna was able to bring that down. Ing with the under. Yeah, Ing should just be eating the unders because they don't want him deep. He's probably getting backed the whole time. Shot goes up to Helinski, and he'll take a shot. Oh, but it is James Hill who gets the tip on the disc, and Hybrid will get a chance.
Something I was commenting on during the field pass game is, you know, the geographic discrepancy around which teams are playing vert stack versus horizontal stack. You know, and it seems like in the sort of middle tier mixed division teams, ho stack seems to be the favorite. But we are seeing a lot of elite mixed teams, like you see here, that are choosing vert stack as their primary offense right now.
Why do you think that is? That to prevent poaches? I feel like it honestly invites them more.
I think that with a vert stack, you are relying on your throwers to be better. We have potential injury on the field.
Yeah, went over a back shoulder for that bid on Theo Sapinski, and yeah, it just looks like he came down wrong.
Yeah, that looks like potentially a bad shoulder injury. See players on the field.
Oh, that's tough.
Getting a replay here.
Okay, so that's McGuire with the disc. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, good throw. Good focus there from Theo Sapinski. Keep eyes on, but I really hope Owens is okay. Looks like he's walking okay. Haven't called the trainers over, but yeah, we'll hope he's okay. We'll check in later on that. Okay. So Sapinski takes the shot.
Trying to go up and over the top of the defender.
Yeah, he had Helinski in the area. But I think just trusted that James Hill would be taller, but so far that hasn't worked out. That's the second or third look they've had at James Hill deep, and they're not hitting him in the right spot.
Well, they're bladey hucks that don't leave a lot of room for error. You know, instead of putting them flat out to space for the receiver to run onto, they have to be pinpoint, right? Like McKenna's huck here.
Love this rip. Ing's in the back shoulder. Interesting, there you go. Okay, so Ing able to win that battle. They are in the red zone.
Not the intended receiver, to be clear.
No, not at all. He is able to find Helinski, lots of give and go, and Ing jumping across with the emphatic spike.
With our first break of the game.
Yeah, loved the back and forth give and goes there right on the red zone line. It just leaves the defenders in the dust. They're both big shouldered. Guys, it's really tough to get in the mix if you're a defender and stop that momentum.
Yeah. We can see teams trying to regroup here. It's a lot of potential, a lot of athleticism being demonstrated here. Oh, look at all of these hybrid blocks on blocks.
And one of the interesting things here, so you'll see the AMP player getting under. He makes the defender collapse into him, and that leaves the space for Ing to go. Whew. Okay, well, AMP heating up. I will say I like the defensive pressure and the offensive composure as a whole. Like, Hybrid's still in this game, 3-2. That's not a lot of separation. AMP not clearly in the driver's seat, which I think I expected coming into this game. Like, I do expect AMP to pull away, but right now, Hybrid's in it.
Absolutely. But I also think that one of the things that we know about AMP is that they are fully capable of dropping games. We know that AMP can be streaky, that like with their highs, they get really high. And with their lows, like there is an opportunity for mistakes. And
I've seen games where they crack off 4 or 5 breaks in a row. You don't want to be that team that's going off when they go off. But yeah, but I've also seen them drop. They tend to, kind of what you're saying with runs, like with streaks that it can be running. Okay, so
that's Champeau's second turn of the game. you know, they pulled him over to this like sort of O2 line.
Nice catch there from Raha. And she'll find Radowick inside. Interesting. I thought that was a good dish, but it looks like it just popped out of Raha's hands. That's an unusual, would you call that an error on her part, or do you think that's defensive pressure there?
I think Kuznicki got a hand on it that forced the turn from Mazafari.
Popped it out.
Yeah.
Anoe there with the pressure. I wonder if they'll, yeah, looks like there's a contact call. Yeah. I mean, based off of what I saw, I think Onoe had the position, just kind of stood there and was tall.
Do you want me to rule, or you want to rule out?
Yeah, is it okay if I mean, you're
Okay.
You're all right.
Yeah, observer ruling is no foul. So it's going to be staying here with red then.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Observer ruling is
Onoe
no
again,
foul.
just standing tall, got hands on the disc, owned the space. I think that was Charlotte Wilson who that throw was intended for. Okay. So off to the races.
Oh, what a grab.
And that was Campanella there. Okay, it looks like we'll be brought back. We haven't seen Campanella a lot yet.
No, it was number 23, Natalie Bova.
Oh, with the assist though, with the throw.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so Bova, a name that we expect to be repeating here in the future, but Campanella has had some impact in the game so far this tournament, but the first time we've really seen him on the field. So Campanella now with the disc. And shake and bake. Onoe with the score.
After getting the block, gives Onoe bookends.
Fantastic play. She's just such a stalwart on this team. I love watching her play.
Yeah, so that is the second break in the row for Hybrid. You know, starting, this is, you know, I think this is what we expected. Hybrid starting to assert their dominance, or AMP, asserting their dominance.
So now with AMP up 4, this is where you will see the heat come into play. We are going to take a heat break. So breaks at 4 and 12 this game. So we will be back here in a few minutes with the third round of the Pro Champs.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice? Between beauty and brutality, style and steel. Between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in. What if there was a game that found balance? Between spirit and sport, agony and elation, like a disc dancing on air.
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate.
It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops. Like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change. around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate!
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Heads up! Breakmark now has sublimated 5-panel hats. You can get the hat and their famous reversible free with the purchase of one of their 3-piece team bundles, starting at just $75. Get all the details at breakmark.com.
Welcome back to the Pro Championships. My name is Charlie Mercer.
I'm Kelsey Percy.
And we are here with Philadelphia Amp versus Ann Arbor Hybrid in a pool play game. We have the number 1 seed in the pool, Amp, who is 1-0, and the number 7 seed in the pool, Hybrid, who is 2-0, having played an extra game ahead of this 3rd round game.
And Amp currently turning up the pressure, but also the execution. They have 2 breaks over Hybrid at this point. Both teams showing that they can put defensive pressure on and part of their team identities. But again, the execution on O, especially with this little bit of wind playing in, going to be a challenge, and we'll see who conquers it better here in the rest of the first half.
Well, and this heat break is so perfect for Hybrid. Like, having just gotten broken twice, you know, as a coach, you're like, hey, I got broken twice. The next thing I'm gonna do is call a timeout. And so it really works to Hybrid's advantage that they sort of got the timeout without having to call it, because we went into our heat break, which I hope will give the offense an opportunity to regroup and execute.
Now, speaking of execution, Sapinski, I almost wish he had taken the deep shot. He faked it off, but a lot of separation there. Just some real disconnect between the cutters for Hybrid. So Amp here with an opportunity. Walsh will pick it up.
What a grab by McKenna.
Yeah, big athletic plays all day from McKenna. She goes to the break side, up and over, using the height. Oh, and excellent. Owens is back out there. He'll find Walsh, who connects again with McKenna. Love this trio here in the red zone, just making space. I like that Amp is really holding, well, was holding cutters back. So Walsh going over to the break side, finds Dodge. Dodge going up line. Walsh working in the end zone and just cruises to a score.
So that answers the question of whether or not the Hybrid offense was going to be able to regroup. Looks like coming out of that heat break timeout that the Amp defense said, we're just going to clean up our offense. We're going to clean up our execution once we get the possession. And, you know, when Amp starts clicking like this is when Amp looks like that championship team.
Yeah, that was the smoothest, we'll call it offense, that we've seen from them so far this game. That was really nice. Again, I liked, let's see if we can get another. Now we're back on the field. Just that early, really giving the handlers space to develop momentum, get that movement going, and then engaging the next row of cutters. And Dodge and Walsh just clicking it up and into the end zone. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and having given themselves a cushion, this is the chance for Amp to lean into using the full depth of their roster. And it's a chance for Amp to keep doing what you were talking about earlier of like trying out new defenses, seeing what works, and using this time to both keep the defensive pressure high, but also to experiment a little bit to see what is like how can they build for some of their elimination games? You know, because they are playing for, like, the format of this pool play is that the pool play winners get a bye into semis. And then the 2 and the 3
Money.
play the crossover to get into semis. And so, you know, winning this game, 2 teams that are undefeated so far, like, that takes you one step closer to getting that bye into semis.
Yeah, that's primo. That's definitely something you want. Gorgeous pull into the back corner.
Those are the pulls my dreams are made of.
Yeah, so Dalton Smith having to make the long walk down and then back up and just into the teeth of the AMP defense.
Going upwind.
Yeah. So Patrika here taking the Dalton Smith matchup. Dalton Smith there using his legs, trying to get off that sideline, deeper into the end zone, but hey, they're not pinned. Ooh, the shot up out into space. Love that look up to Tracy Lowe. Haven't seen a lot of Tracy Lowe yet, but she can definitely make some solid plays. So Dalton Smith and Kian Johnson in the backfield. Lowe again, right on the end zone.
That was a great read by Lowe.
Really nice movement, and Lowe again. Big fakes. She'll reset to Johnson. Champeau coming across. Ooh, and there goes Hybrid. That was the hold they needed.
Well, and especially given this wind situation, being able to get this upwind point. I mean, it's a little upwind, it's a little crosswindy, but that was enough upwind that if they can stack this D-line to get the break back, it would make a big difference.
Yeah, I credit Tracy Lowe. Dalton Smith on getting open, but Tracy Lowe with providing the connection to keep the disc progressing. That was really good movement.
Yeah, she was clearly the distributor at this point, moving the disc back across the field, making the critical plays to make this point happen.
And early, she's probably only installed 5, 6, you know, checking the key lanes, but then also not letting it go, keeping momentum, not letting them stagnate. Well done.
We have a timeout call here on the field, it looks like. Or maybe both teams are just taking their
precious sweet time.
Well, you only have 85 seconds between points.
Have you ever known? Okay, maybe, and this is technically an observer game, but okay, this is an observer game. But when was the last time you saw teams like truly hustling it to get down? At least it's not the 4 minutes in between that you sometimes see on Halloween tournaments or things where they're true shenanigans.
So we're going to take a look at the power rankings from Ulti-World. You can see that AMP is leading the top of the power rankings after winning US Open, followed by Shame, BFG, Noise, and we can take a look. Like, do you see Hybrid on that list?
Nope.
You know, and I think that speaks to, like, Hybrid being a little bit of a
streaky inconsistency. High execution. I mean, so far scoring points against this AMP team, staying in the game, but you got to execute the whole game long and all tournament long.
Yeah, I was on BFG in 2021 when we played Hybrid in finals, and there's a point where, you know, they can put together runs of points that look really clean, and, you know, that seems to have been like their peak as a team, making it to finals in 2021. And since then, they've had a fair amount of roster turnover and, you know, bringing new players in, still developing some of that same core, but are struggling to find that same amount of success as we saw during their breakout year in 2021. It's huge, high ceiling, but we haven't quite seen them be able to close it consistently, which is what you need of these elite teams and what AMP is doing.
Oh, and I would say, honestly, that's kind of the story of the mixed division this season. There's a whole lot of streaky going on.
Mixtape!
I mean, I was also thinking Noise, but yes, let's go. Woo! The athleticism.
That was the third receiver.
The shot from McKenna. But it is Max Charles that comes down with it. I don't think she saw him as the intended receiver.
No, he was the third receiver. But that is why your coaches tell you to never give up on a disc and to make sure you go attack a disc once it is in the air.
Wolfpack. Oh. I mean, upwind, McKenna had receivers in that area. Oh my gosh, look at this. 1, 2. And Charles. Oh my gosh. congratulations.
But I think that this throw really gives you a good indication of the crosswind situation that's happening here, right? You can see McKenna put that disc with just a little bit of edge. It was mostly flat, but just
And
a
good
little
snap.
bit, and just a little bit of edge. But that edge was enough to carry into the wind.
And you heard her say, "Oh my God, that was not what I intended." She owns it.
Yeah, like
3 assists though, 1 block. Lindsay McKenna having a game.
yeah, that there was just enough edge on that disc that it came over across the field.
Yeah, props to Charles for recognizing and being in that space when it came down. Okay, so hybrid, having to do a change up. Yeah, so they've got, looks like Donovan on this line, pulling
Something I'm curious
Simcoe
about
across.
is when you start throwing out the junk looks and the zone looks. Like there's a crosswind here. This is like a conditions that are rife for a 4-person cup.
Absolutely. Yeah, make people start throwing things over the top.
That's not gonna end well. But even on those high releases,
Did we say make them throw it over the top? Oh, and especially if Del Rico Johnson is in the area. Please throw it over the top. Let him make a play. On the way to Del Rico. Ooh, and the bookends, and Amp rushes the field. Let's go.
Delrico Johnson as an ad for AMP this year has been really fun to watch. He's such an electric player, brings so much energy and so much athleticism and skill to this game. You know, like we, demonstrated just by that point. And you can hear his team cheering him, that like he becomes a center focal piece for the energy of the team. And I think that the AMP team can sometimes be a little, like they can be sort of like internally fiery, but maybe not externally fiery, like a little bit too calm. And I think that Johnson can bring some of that fire and that spark that's going to help them in those really competitive games.
Yes, I could agree with that. I will second for Johnson, not just playmaking, not just the aggressive turn. I've also seen him fill really nicely on swings. So something I'll be looking to see if he brings to this game as well. But got to watch a little bit of the AMP versus Noise game prior to this. And I thought he did a really good job of filling into swing and break spaces. Would love to see more of that from him.
Yeah, watching him in the backfield with Raha Mazafari is like, it's really enjoyable.
Revelation, right? Yeah, I love when people don't get pigeonholed into, you're big and athletic, go downfield. No, have good throws too. Be well-rounded. Renaissance man.
Well, and I think that that's something that we're seeing from Lindsay McKenna, who was sort of pigeonholed into that space of being that like big downfield receiver, and is now doing so much more of the throwing positionality and becoming more well-rounded herself.
Yeah, so Bova there on the pull. Onoe takes the Charlotte Wilson matchup again. Love her big mark there. Campanella taking the Theo Shapinski. Oh, spicy. Eric Nardelli with the hand block. Foot block? With the block.
With the block.
With the block. Oh, AMP just pouring on the defensive pressure. Tell you what, this hybrid team, they're going to have to respond right now. This is huge.
Yeah, I mean, AMP can take it to half right here. You're at 7-3. You're beyond half field.
I believe that's a travel called. So we'll come back to Campanella.
Looks like it was called for not having set up initially in the correct position.
So he will hit Onoe again and then goes across. And be told, please go back again. Onoe, Campanella, the connection. But she goes up to Nardelli. Nardelli pinned on the sideline. Onoe making the upline cut. Love that she took that inside lane. Shot to the end zone and just squeaks it.
AMP really coming out decisively. Great end zone celebration there. Pumping the heart, making sure they're still alive.
That was Adelina Malave there with that goal. Just love the twirl motion. I think it was a little bit behind her, but just maximizing it. AMP takes half, 8-3.
After a kind of sloppy beginning of the game, AMP has really shown like why they're in control and shown their absolute dominance in this game, running the pace of the offense with stifling D, taking advantage of the errors that that hybrid has had.
And you can see it a little bit too in the hybrid body language there of just little stoop shoulders, little slow trudge of they've got some work to do. It's going to be an uphill battle to get back in. Okay, so we are here at half at Pro Champs. We're going to take a quick break. We will have an interview here for you shortly, so stick around.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice? Between beauty and brutality, style and steel. Between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in. What if there was a game that found balance? Between spirit and sport, agony and elation, like a disc dancing on air.
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate. It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops. Like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
So welcome back. This is the AMP versus Hybrid third round game at the Pro Champs. My name's Kelsey Percy. I'm here with Charlie Mercer interviewing Joe Besser from Hybrid Team. So Joe had a really interesting first half, but then AMP built some momentum. What are your biggest takeaways so far from the first half?
I think the wind has gone to hybrid a little bit. AMP has done a really good job working the disc upwind, whether it's a couple hucks, reading the disc a little better, swarming the disc. So coming on the second half, I think hybrid needs to make sure that when that disc is up in the air, the whole team is there ready to attack.
Awesome. This is Charlie over here. What will you focus on to change the course of this game in the second half? What adjustments are you looking to make?
Yeah, I think it's taking it 1 point at a time and focusing on the wind and how to use the wind to our advantage. Like I was saying, I think well-timed hucks, stretching the field, making good decisions, and focusing on each throw is the way to get back in the game.
What do you think this messaging is coming, to the team? I feel like there's as much of a mental game happening here as there is an execution game. So, what's the messaging to the team that's going to make a difference?
Yeah, I think it's taking that deep breath and reset, not worrying about the score, and just coming out to start each point fresh, clean head, and try not to think about the past and just move forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time talking with us. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, so we're going to get a look at some of the game stats here. So again, AMP with the 8-3 lead in half over hybrid. 3 holds each. Only 2 clean holds. You can tell some of the turns there. 13 turns for hybrid. It really does add up. AMP hasn't had a clean game though. 8 turns, just been executing a little bit on getting them back. 9 break chances, but 5 breaks. I mean, to me, that's the biggest number there, Charlie.
Yeah, 0, 4, 5, 9. Those ratios are very different.
Okay, so we are going to take a quick break. Do what you need to join us back here in the second half of this AMP versus hybrid game here in the Pro Champs.
See you soon.
The last last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change.
Around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
Athletic pursuit.
And camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
That there's nothing we can't achieve
When we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
So welcome back to the third round of the Pro Champs here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We have AMP versus Hybrid in what was a close game and is turning into a AMP showdown.
My name is Charlie Mercer.
Kelsey Percy.
And we are here for the beginning of the second half.
So AMP is up 8-3. We were just looking at some stats a couple minutes ago. One of the biggest separations was AMP 5 breaks to Hybrid 0.
Hybrid has opportunities, and they need to be able to close on them. And really, it's their execution on offense. They are continuing to make the same mistakes. They're continuing to put discs that are too high, trying to throw the sort of same third huck looks that they've been throwing. And with this wind and with the tenacity and intensity of the AMP defense, they're not converting on them.
Yeah, it's not playing out. Interesting too, obviously, offensive execution has to happen to get the defensive line on the field. But you want to see them also playing to those strengths if they've had some opportunities with D, and they're not executing on that side either. So just across the board, want to step up. The big pull rip from Chapeau, and you can see with the effort he put into that, it's still not making it even close to the end zone.
Still went like 55 yards.
All right, so we've got Max Charles in the backfield. Interesting, AMP continuing to rotate through players. That's Thomas Nye, who we haven't seen in that backfield on offense. Looking upfield to Ing. Walsh is still in the area, but yeah, just rotating through. Love the big swing to Walsh. She's got Nye, but she'll send him away and send her to Charles instead.
Well, I think that exactly that you're talking about is partially why.
Excellent toss. I'm going to interrupt you here because that was a gorgeous break by Max, and that was over to Rachel Alfano.
Putting different players in the backfield is why AMP continues to be a strong contender team year after year. You know, the program was founded in 2006, and to be at the top of the mixed division for so many years, you know, having won multiple national championships, having won, multiple Pro Champs and multiple US Opens, it's because they're giving their players opportunities to build up this capacity.
Yeah,
so
development.
Exactly, you have to invest in your program, and you have players like Rahab Mazafari who've been there for years and years to help teach the next generation, but they're looking for every opportunity to continue to invest in their community and develop them, not just for this game, but for the seasons to come.
I would say, as far as Raha goes, to teach the next generation, but also to set the tone. Her level of intensity, commitment, and focus. Just if you're younger and you're trying to figure out your game and figure out the club scene, and you see her execute the way that she does, you're like, okay, heard, that's what I've got to go do.
Raha Mazafari and I were slated to be teammates on the ill-fated Beach World Masters women's team. That there weren't enough teams in the division, so our team is not happening. It would have been my first time being able to be teammates with her instead of competing against her. We've competed against each other since college. It would be such a joy to finally get to have that joy and intensity with me on the field. But I get to watch it and appreciate it from the commentary booth right now.
All right, so Hybrid putting another line out there. Donovan's got the disc now. And he will look over to Witten. Witten, who's had a good season. He'll send it deep. Hill is in the area, and Hill finally connected. That is the space that he has been attacking all day, and he got one.
And the throw was different. Like, it's not just that, like, the spacing was better, because it was, but it's that the throw, like, Hybrid used the wind to their advantage and placed it so that it was flat and out to space for him to run onto.
Preach, Charlie, preach. Yeah, here we go. Watch this. Yeah, lovely execution. Little bit of touch there, just sailed in, but still out into space. Didn't make him jump for it, just allowed him to run on.
Yeah, you can see that as he steps out on his backhand, there's just a little bit of slowdown on the release, so it doesn't have too much zip to go by him. Like, that is what makes the difference in this being a turnover versus the completion and the beautiful goal for Hybrid that it was.
That was what Hybrid needed.
Absolutely.
I love to see that execution, and a quick point too, get the defense back out there. So now what we really want to see from the defense is some intense pressure. They need to get Amp out of this comfortable attacks headspace that they've been in.
Run a zone! Run a zone!
We've got two coaches up in the booth. We can't help it. Sorry, y'all.
I mean, but like really, you've run your person a bunch of times.
It's not working.
And it's not working. So do a different thing. We have 35 minutes before this cap goes on. We're at a score of 9-4 with Amp dominating over Hybrid. We have traded points coming out of this halftime. So far, in the second half, we're looking cleaner.
Credit to Nora Mertz. Her pull went almost as far as Champau's. Alrighty, so throw goes up to McKenna. She unleashes a backhand. There is a defender in the area. That throw was intended for Luke Greenlee and just didn't have enough spice on it. And actually, it might not have been intended. She was same third. There was a female matching player for Amp in that area. It might have been Rachel Alfano, who was her original target. But Greenlee and his defender were the ones that were there.
Yeah, Aiden Rudy with the block there.
Yeah, so Rudy currently with the disc. Ooh.
Unfortunate miscommunication with the reset defender who started cutting, or with the reset
and that
cutter, cut
may
up line.
Be a process play and also defense. Walsh picks it up to McKenna.
Another goal for McKenna.
And no recovery there. Ah, that's tough. That's really tough. Yeah, so I think with Rudy, he had the first reset go up line, and then the second, typically in most systems, the second reset goes wide. And that allows you to move the mark one way and then get the shot around. And instead, the second reset went up the line. I think it was because of the really superb positioning by the defense.
So we have McKenna on the field here. We're going to look at a highlight reel of the incredible impact that Lindsay McKenna has had on this game so far. We can see both as a thrower and a receiver, she's been putting up shots all game. Lots of, connecting with Henry Ng here. Making big catches, able to then deliver and distribute the disc.
Yeah, so I think she's got a goal, she's got an assist, she's got several blocks. She's filling up her stat sheet.
I think she has multiple assists. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, heating up the field. Make way for McKenna.
And McKenna played the last point, and her value to this team is such that they are putting her back on the field for this next point.
It was a relatively short point. They kind of just stopped.
So we have an Amp D line out here, searching for another break. Hybrid, a wonderful opportunity to show off their patience and consistency and execution. That's what we want to see from you, Hybrid. You can do it. I believe in you.
I am continuing to rotate who's taking the pull also. That was McKenna with that shot. Maybe it's like you score and you get to pull. All right. So Owens goes through on the up line. Has Shapinski going deep. I love the cross field look. That was Del Rica's going, why? How does that throw even go?
That is using the wind. Knowing the wind and using the wind.
Yeah, I loved that cut from Shapinski. Went deep, curled it around, but a beautifully executed throw.
It's kind of that butterfly cut.
We'll be honest.
Button hook, maybe? It's more. I guess it's more of a button hook cut.
I mean, Hybrid executing the cuts here. That's what we can say. Let's get another look at
Scuba.
Oh my gosh, that was a scooper. I just saw the end result. Wow. All right.
But honestly, the scuba was the right throw there. Because of the wind, because of where the wind is pushing, that gives you enough distance and angle to make it soft enough for it to go into your receiver's breadbasket.
Yeah. It went where it was going, and it's got that zip, and then it sits down. Okay, I'm with you. I'll follow you. Scuba was the right throw. You heard it here, y'all. Practice your scoobers. So you can throw downwind, cross field, assist for them.
As a coach, I might question the decision, but in this new generation of creative playmaking or creative throwing, that was the throw for that situation.
Oh, Charlie.
Maybe not a high percentage throw, but it was the right throw if you were going to make that throwing choice.
And executed the way he did. Good job, Witten. Okay, so Hybrid getting their defense back out there.
Roll back on the pull, giving Amp extra yards for free.
Yeah, starting field positioning on the second half of the field is just tough.
But I mean, that's the upwind, downwind nature of this.
And I'm pretty sure that's Owens there with the protective sleeve from the partial injury earlier on.
Glad he's on the field, and glad he's also taking precautions to protect himself.
So Ibrit already feeling the pressure, but so far executing, keeping hold of the disc, working the full width. They've got Melink out there. She found Champeau going across. That toss intended for Charlotte Wilson. I'm not sure she knew she was the intended target, but she did track it down. Ooh, corralled by Dalton Smith.
Bounced off the defender.
I'm calling it hijinks. Hijinks on these win points.
Hijinks on Hybrid?
Oh, excellent. All the consonants and alliteration.
Ooh, that bid by Ing. This Ing Champeau matchup is really fun.
Okay, and Smith get up. Oh, whoa! The number of throws that we have gone through multiple receivers. What on earth? Hey, props to the awareness of Stoutberg for reeling that in. It zipped past Wilson. You watched her almost flinch of was I supposed to catch that? Stoutberg brings it in. Wow. Okay, so here we go, Champeau. Gribbing, he might have been high stall count. So that's an IO.
Across the
IO
field,
flick across into the wind. With multiple open receivers. I mean, if you're going to throw to space.
Woo. So Nathan Champeau is certainly a player who is in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Has made tons of defensive plays, is really putting himself on the map for that. However, I would not say, unlike Henry Ing, who could make a play for being Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, total Player of the Year, I don't think that Nathan Champeau has the ability to push for Offensive Player of the Year. That his throwing so far this game has been suspect. And
been making you nervous, huh?
It's making me a little bit nervous.
Okay.
I love his defense.
But if I'm Nathan Champeau, I'm going to look at you, Charlie, lick my finger, and draw a 1 in the assist column in the air. Chalk up an assist for Nathan Champeau.
But how many turns has he had? He's had 2 turns so far.
So Raha Messafari, interesting. The pull bounces past Raha. They are deep in the end zone.
Which is why that break from Hybrid mattered so much, because now Hybrid gets to go downwind and gets to have their pulls go deep into the end zone and really pin Amp just like they are right now.
Now the best pulls that we have seen so far have been on that, we'll call it, southern or downwind side, just cutting through, and then it's so unpredictable. Just it keeps popping up. Did it look like some contact was called, so the disc will stay in Ryan's hands? Oh, and an utter jump ball. Wow. Okay.
That's a hard play.
Yeah.
There's a huge crowd of players.
That was David Zoldan that caught that, but such a pack of players. I don't think that it was dangerous, but I don't think that there was any way it could not be dangerous at the same time.
Yeah.
That's just tough. Okay, so Hybrid here with a chance. A double break would be huge here for Hybrid. Shot to end zone and a double break. It is the emphatic spike there.
There's the breaks that they needed, right? 10-7. This is a very different game than when we started out, coming out of half at 9-4.
Aiden Rudy has made some big plays so far this game, right when Hybrid needed them.
When I was talking to them before the game, Aiden Rudy was just like being a clown of a human being. Really fun to interact with, like the personality that he brings to the field, as well as this level of playmaking.
Oh, and you saw the body language of the thrower there for Amp. Throws it and immediately just, huge. Knew he misexecuted on the throw. But then the shot here. Loves Kian Johnson over to Rudy, finding that open space. And just really attacking. I mean, flat mark there, right? That's risky. It's risky on the end zone of you've got to know that your defenders are there, or otherwise both sides can be attacked.
I think that you can have a flat mark that's still shading one way, though. You know, I think that the flat mark forces the throws around. Like, you are giving up a little bit more on the break side, but particularly when you have a flat mark forcing backhand, like, you can get there.
Whew. So after Amp being up 8-3 at half, 10-7 now, Amp Hybrid. This feels like a different game. Whew, and that might be the best pull we have seen so far this game. Love that shot up there.
We have about 25 minutes before the soft cap goes on.
Okay, so Amp marching it downfield so far. And again, this really just person look, shot out to space, just running onto it. Rachel Alfano, free all day.
Second goal for Rachel Alfano?
At least, definitely second for sure. Yeah, that was smooth. So after those breaks, just punching it in, no hesitation, that was what Amp needed to do.
Yeah, single possession. Getting a replay here.
Yeah, love that smooth shot from Dodge.
And, you know, still an away shot. You know, I appreciate that Amp isn't being deterred from their game plan of, like, we are aggressively looking deep. And even though we had a couple that didn't connect the way we wanted them to, like, this is still our game, and we are still going to take those shots to open players.
I love a team that stays with its process, with its game plan, and just works on the individual execution, doesn't let the other team dictate their play. Okay. So, with the downwind hold, Amp's defense now gets to go. Yeah, you're right. That break by Hybrid really turned this game on its head because now both teams scoring downwind, and it gives the defense the opportunity that they have to take those shots upwind. So far, both teams have been fairly successful shooting upwind out to space.
Have they?
So, I would argue yes.
But there have also been a fair number of turns with it.
I mean, Max Charles has been open several times there, and gosh, not Doering, Tracy Lowe out into those spaces as well. Okay, to the game at hand. To the game at hand. Theo Shapinski with a beautiful save. That floated up there, but the execution and run through. Yeah, that was a really
pick call on the field. Players are reestablishing.
Yeah, so Steinberg was there with the run through. Shapinski had made a really athletic play, but then just, I don't know if he was off balance when he made that throw or just rushed it a little bit. But Del Rico now, he looked around, didn't have anyone, and turfs it upfield.
High stall count, you know, not a whole lot. Hybrid was able to take away the around with the mark, showcasing their good defense. Pick call.
Many, many yards away. So Hill currently with the disc. I would expect to see Del Rico catching up. No, the disc will go back. Okay.
Hybrid stack pretty spread out here.
So still connecting with Hill on the disc. Witten also back in that space, but Theo Shapinski has a cutter going deep. That was Maddie Simcoe. I'd throw to Maddie, but looking to be a little bit more conservative. Witten still back in that reset spate. Right now, being really aggressive with their deep downfield hucks, but I'm liking this flat mark is really taking away the thrower's ability to make those shots. Ram Safari,
it's a great mark by
electrifying the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about the field position aspect of this, that now you have given, 30-ish yards to Amp, so they only have to work it upwind that far as opposed to the length of the field. That in that situation, a big huck, even if it was a turnover, would have been better for the field position game.
And Maddie Simcoe with a really big effort there on an 08, but she's not there, and Amp just swings it right across the field. Del Rico currently with the disc. Bova is his reset, but they are in the red zone.
We have a kind of a contact discussion happening.
Is that what contact exists, so you don't have to stop play?
Well, I mean, it must have been, clearly was a foul call in order to stop play.
Sorry, heckles from someone who still struggles to remember to call contact instead of foul. Ooh, not in.
Great inside by Johnson.
Yeah, Bova's there. She wants it. She'll look reset. It's got to be high stall.
How is that not 10?
How is it not 10?
There must have been some sort of marking violation that was called that would have dropped the stall count in the middle of that.
15 seconds. Okay. And Del Rico will call a timeout. What on earth? Okay, so there is a timeout on the field. Whew. So Amp right on the red zone. So something that I think I've noticed. Amp did a lot of force middle in the first half, something that they said they were working on. I really like what I would consider a defensive shift to flat force, because I don't think that the hybrid team is adjusting their cuts accordingly, where they really need to be more horizontal, getting those soft spaces just outside the mark, instead of the really bigger. Hybrid was able to take some of those bigger shots because the marks were more sideways, forcing towards that middle space that allowed them to, get more wind up. And so we saw lots of deep cuts from hybrid on that point, but no ability to actually take the shot from the thrower position. Again, that masterful mark from Raha.
Well, and I think it also shows the difference in depth of throwers between these two teams, whereas the Amp players have the ability to throw around those marks, and the hybrid players have the athleticism to make really big plays and really big blocks, but are not as technically strong as throwers to be able to get around that.
So Johnson here with the disc back in play, had Raha attacking the front cone. Also had Sam Grossberg making that first initial cut. Looks like there will be some contact calls, so resetting the stall to 1. That's a nice courtesy. So the stall at 1, Johnson with the disc. Will reset to Onoe. Go back up line. Another up line. Third option goes up line. And Grossberg couldn't get it.
And that's the pressure that hybrid needs. Simcoe going deep.
Oh, can Simcoe find it? Onoe's in the area. Onoe pulls it down.
Onoe over Simcoe, that's a big one.
That really is. I haven't seen Simcoe in this game. I really expected more presence. She has the capability. Oh, Hill makes the dive. Johnson able to keep it. Takes a shot up to Grossberg. Grossberg makes the bid. And still keeps the disc.
It looks like there's a call. We see the observers waving their hands to get the players off the field. It has not yet been signaled the goal.
Ooh. Grossberg got up, and the disc still got swiped, but the quick reflexes, it is called a goal. The butt spike from Grossberg. Wow, that happened fast.
He did a phenomenal job taking the inside lane. You know, when that disc is going up, right, you want to make sure that you have your defender behind you so that you have the ability to get it.
Yeah, dictate timing, because if the defender wants to go, they have to go before or over you if they're on that back hip. Whew, that was some tremendous play. And Grossberg, who missed, when the swing throw to him popped up with that initial turn and Hybrid took the deep shot, Onaway able to come back. Whew. Onaway really keeping this team in the game. Speaking of, let's take a look at some of those Onaway highlights.
As we are heading into our heat break after this, Onaway has just made a difference offensively and defensively. Able to distribute, catch goals, get blocks.
Yeah, just really heat-seeking. Has, again, what you're saying, assists, goals, the timing, the playmaking capabilities. She's been everything that this AMP team has needed her to be.
We will see you back in just a couple of seconds.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds,
defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change.
Around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Welcome back to the Pro Championships. We are coming out of our heat break with AMP pulling to Hybrid. Hybrid on offense going upwind. I'm Charlie Mercer.
And Kelsey Percy. Oh, and we had a block. That was Maddie Simcoe with the disc.
You were just saying Maddie Simcoe wasn't doing enough.
Yes, but Maddie Simcoe was the one that turned it. Bova was the one who got the D. So still, Maddie, come on. I believe in you. Let's see some spark. Okay, so yes. Amp with the disc. And that is Ryan in the backfield now with Olivia Steinberg. Steinberg will clear, making space for Whitmer. Ooh, and that's a cheeky little toss there up to Whitmer. In the red zone now for Amp. It's so tough if you're hybrid because you got to play the energy. And Whitmer just cruising up with the toss from Campanella, but we are seeing a travel indicated by the observer.
It does look, from the up hands, it does look like it's an uncontested travel.
Momentum, she's sneaky. Okay, so Campanella here. Whitmer will clear. Whitmer out. Oh, it floats. Wow, the grab by Bova.
Bova taking off.
Yeah, she just all engine there. I liked the communication. She had Ryan open through a poach. Bova found him and then just took off like a sprinter for the end zone.
It's not on your screen at home, but you could, I saw Simcoe throw their hat and kind of, like sink down. I think that they know that they're not having the game that they are capable of having.
Absolutely, that's tough. And it's also, if you're in that headspace, it's really tough to come out of that headspace. Both of us have seen this hybrid team play to a much higher ceiling. It is so tough when you know you have that capability and the execution is just not there.
Yeah.
So part of it will be, this game isn't over. How can they execute the next couple of points to the best of their ability? We talked about point differential being crucial. Every point counts. You can't just check out of a game. You've got to stay focused.
Yeah, and Bova's really taking off here. Was absolutely running that point both with her throws and with her legs. Ability to, throw and go and bust into that upline space. It was really great work by Bova there.
Yeah, I love seeing that dominance and also that the male matching players are really making space, making sure that their defenders are not in the vicinity to be able to poach that play and just let her attack.
And I think that's been the story of this AMP team. AMP for many years has been known as a team that has really strong female matching players.
That's a good looking pull up there. That was from Max Charles. And so hybrid having to start all the way back in their half of the field. They've got a second line offense out there. Dalton Smith, Wilson going up line. But having to reset really far back for a loss. Finds Wilson up on that break side. So being pretty patient so far. Good touch. And just as I say that, disc pops up and AMP is back off to the races. Owens with the disc found McKenna up the line. And I think Owens had just planted to potentially go up line when McKenna tossed the disc. And so another fortunate turn. I'd love to see just the clean play that we've seen for the last couple of points. I don't want to see just an unleashing of the first couple of points of the game again. Love to see these teams just really focus up here for the last couple. So hybrid now in their half, approaching the red zone. They will find Link. Dalton just going every other right now, making sure that he's in the vicinity to take care of the disc. He's got Stoutberg. No one really moving. It's that balance of, oh gosh. And there you go. You've got Kian Johnson going over the top. Okay, that wasn't pretty. That wasn't pretty, but it was a hold.
Something I'm thinking about is how the schedule of this tournament is impacting teams. So there are 4 rounds today, and in a pool of 5, it means that every team is going to have 1 bye. Taking a look at this replay. Trust throw to the receiver.
Yeah, Kian Johnson there to Stoutberg. And I like the soft, it was in the right space.
Yeah, but so thinking about how this schedule has an impact, Hybrid is the one team in the pool that plays 4 games today, and then the last round of pool play is tomorrow, and Hybrid's not playing that last round of pool play. So Hybrid is the only team in their pool that is playing 4 games today. And like how, you know, with these heats, right, we are in heat advisory, heat level 1, we're having these heat timeouts. This game is on turf, which is an extra tax on your body as opposed to the games on playing on grass. That you know, and Hybrid isn't known for being the deepest team. Their top part of their roster is really strong, and they, you know, have been able to show that in their first 2 games. But I think as we get into the second half of the day, like, we're starting to see the toll, the physical toll of being able to get through the day on Hybrid.
So a second really excellent pull from Haley Bonas.
You're looking at that drone footage on your screen right now, so you can really see the spacing from the whole team.
And this is more to your point. I would love to see those different defensive looks, but we are just a pretty tight person defense. And Amp just walking it down the line. So the big swing around to Johnson. Working the disc back and forth there with Butrika, who we haven't seen a lot of. Love that he's getting some sights. The big around on the break side to Raha, and she will just toss it up to Grossberg, who's having a really good game.
Yeah, he's looking really crisp.
That was smooth. So some energy there. And again, love, and I know you said they don't get super excited. They're not known for their pyrotechnics, as it were. But love the energy here that they're bringing the pressure. Okay, so we are going to take a quick break here as we are in a heat timeout, but join us in a couple seconds.
Heads up, Breakmark now has sublimated 5-panel hats. You can get the hat and their famous reversible free with the purchase of one of their 3-piece team bundles, starting at just $75. Get all the details at breakmark.com.
Okay, so we are back here in the 3rd round of Pro Championships with Amp versus Hybrid. Apologies, that was not a heat timeout. Just a little media break there. But McKenna with the big pull. I am loving all of the upwind female pulls this game.
And Amp with a chance to break for the win here. Amp up 14-8 in a game 2-15. 3 minutes before the cap goes on, but that cap looks like that cap will not be necessary.
So Hill finds Maddie Simcoe up the line. Hybrid just really working this 1-yard cutting lane. I do like the throw to space over to Simcoe by McGuire. She'll find Witten. Witten in the red zone with McGuire and Donovan working it across the full width of the field. And they'll counterattack. Hill is in the area, but that just floated too high.
Maybe it should have been the crosswind scuba.
I mean, definitely would have sat. He had plenty of separation. You know what? I'm in. I'm in. Should have been a scuba. Donovan, throw the scuba. Yeah, I'm also just not as big of a fan of that really big cross field throw in this type of wind. I think it has to be the right throw. Otherwise, continue to swing.
It's a high risk throw, and you know, we saw the downside of that.
Yeah, at this point in the game, you really want to emphasize possession. Why risk it? Yes, open player, but not if it's not an open throw. So Amp attacking back the other way now. Helinski in the backfield, working back and forth with Greenlee. They'll float it up. McKenna's in the area, but Simcoe, let's go Simcoe, gets the D. Yeah, we want to see that matchup. You know, not much of a game to heat up in, but We'll take it. We'll take it.
Simcoe McKenna, let's go.
Yeah, so Donovan back in the backfield. At Grenshire clearing up line. Simcoe over to Donovan. And Hill started moving to the break side. Well, I'm saying break side, but they're actually forcing to the home line, forcing this backhand. Okay, so Simcoe coming across finds McGuire. They are right here on the end zone.
A strong possession from Hybrid, showing that they can maintain possession and work it.
Oh, and a really tough shot from McGuire. That was an excellent shot over to Witten. Yeah, that was impressive.
That was a really well-placed shot from McGuire.
And that was a break stroke too, right? They were forcing away. Yeah. Oh, that was gorgeous.
Well placed. Yeah, I want this replay. And it's a high stall count too. Like, look how long McGuire's been holding this, and the capacity for McGuire to hold the disc, see this isn't open, and to still distribute a really beautiful throw that high in the stall count into the end zone for a goal. Like, that is some high-level playmaking right there.
That was honestly some of the prettiest, smoothest action that I've seen from Hybrid. They've had one or two, I would say, really good points so far this game from an offensive standpoint. That 20 yards of execution was one of them.
You can see on your screen Mark Witten, 1 goal, 2 assists. Certainly a factor in this game, contributing to some of those nice points.
And I would say that that doesn't even touch on the impact he's had as a distributor, of really helping to keep the space and timing, both in terms of clearing out and the discs that he's managed to catch and throw.
So the cap goes on after this point. We have 15 minutes to hard cap. At the point that the hard cap goes on, the game is over unless the game is tied, at which point a final point would be played.
Yeah, that was a really key execution point for Hybrid. Again, we've talked about point differential. The game could have been over, and instead here they are. They get to run their defense out another time. So Raha with Onoe, love those two in the backfield.
Yeah.
Raha goes around and takes the outside up line. Oh, that's risky. That shot intended for Ryan, but Dalton Smith there. Will he take the shot on deep? Oh, he shoots. Champeau, but Johnson is there. Gets the hand on the inside. So Champeau is really calling for that shot. Do you think if it goes up sooner, it's there, or just shouldn't have gone at all?
It shouldn't have gone. It's an upwind bladey throw, and yes, you're throwing to one of your best receivers, but you also have one of their best defenders on you. That's not the matchup to throw to. When he had other options that would have maintained possession.
So Raha back with Ryan, hits Onoe, who gets up to Whitmer. Whitmer takes a shot towards Johnson, but Dalton Smith is there. Johnson, however, sticks with the disc inches from the end zone. He'll look to reset and takes the far reset.
But maintains possession.
Oh, Whitmer with the shot at the ankles. He's doing give and go with Ryan. Onoe back in the backfield. Onoe and Johnson, like that. And the shot to the wide open Walsh. Steinberg.
That's the clinical offense that AMP is capable of. It took them 2 tries to get there, but that's the AMP offense that is. That's the AMP offense that really makes a difference.
So I hate that for Hybrid. They got the pressure, they got the D, they marched it up to within the red zone. But you got to take care of business. You got to hold on to the disc. And so instead, the shot up to Johnson, and then just a really clinical end zone offense. Really, taking care of business, AMP there. It does sound like we will have a chance to interview here in just a minute. So please stick with us, and we'll be bringing that to you shortly.
Take a look at some of our game highlights.
Yeah, Johnson, just a key playmaker, but who wasn't a playmaker here from this AMP team? Again, they wanted to play their depth, and we saw their depth having that impact.
So we have this 15-9 win, Amp over Hybrid. You know, when you look at holds, they're like roughly equal, but again, it's like looking at these stats from half, it's where in the breaks and break chances that discrepancy really shows.
Yeah. Interesting to me that the break chances is almost the same as the game score itself. But total turnovers, Amp had plenty of turns, you know, hit double digits, but just able to earn it back more times. Okay, so we will be coming in here shortly with this interview. Sounds like we'll be interviewing Sumi Onoe, so get excited, big playmaker. All right, so coming to you shortly, here we are. So Sumi, thanks so much for joining us. This is Kelsey Percy. I'm here with Charlie Mercer. What a fantastic game. What's one of your takeaways? How did that game feel?
It started really rough from both teams' perspectives, I think. The wind really got us, and there's multiple huck turnovers. It was definitely not clean points. And we just felt like we weren't trusting each other with our cuts and throws. So we cleaned it up and felt really good and confident in ourselves in the last half. And we just kept breaking. And I don't know, we had a great game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is Charlie Mercer. You were an enormous contributor to this team today. What did you personally focus on to have the incredible game performance that you did today?
I think just confidence in myself. I felt like, I don't know, I'm like trying to build on my break throws, especially in the wind, and just being confident that I have those throws and not just like, you know, oh, I'll just wait for the easy open throws. So I've been working on that, and I felt like I really hit many inside throws and break throws in this game, and I feel pretty good about that.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you. It definitely shows the work that you've been putting in.
Thank you.
Okay, so one more question for you here. Obviously puts y'all in a really good place, 3-0 for the day. So 2-0, yeah.
Yeah,
you've got one more game. What are you going to be focusing on after this really good win? What's your focus going into the next game?
It was really hot on this turf, so it's definitely getting us on our body, and so we want to make sure that we're, you know, energized and making sure that our sideline energy is up there.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, we don't want to
recovery.
Recovery.
Yeah, I hear you. That's important.
Yeah.
All right, and good to be mindful of that. Well, Sumi, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And good luck.
Thank you.
We are going to take a look at our game highlights here.
Yeah, so some spicy play by both teams, a lot of athleticism, but also execution here in the wind, as it was a pretty key factor. A dominant performance, though, by Philly Amp, taking the game 15-9 over Ann Arbor Hybrid.
Make sure that you tune in for this game next round at 3:45. We will be streaming the Fury Molly Brown game, and it is sure to be a fiery matchup. So make sure you are back with us at 3:45.
So thanks again for joining us. I'm Kelsey Percy.
And I'm Charlie Mercer. This is the Pro Champs.